You're muted.
Well, we did it again. You made it, and you still have a voice, so I feel like that's a win.
It's a win for me. Did you see that your parents were already here waiting for you? Your mom and your dad? Sorry, your biological father and his wife?
Yes, I am very happy with that. We have a show today. We're going to talk a little bit about community and what it means to be able to participate in local community and that sort of a thing. And partly because we had a really great visit with Samantha Stone, who I haven't seen in a little while. And we both know kind of from the marketing world and how she's kind of turned a corner. But we also just had sort of the experience of what it's like to work in and around the public domain with our or work local to communities and stuff like that. And our basic concept was that as we are putting together this segment, this episode, we were talking about it's going to be important to start to share things a little more locally. Is that what do you have in mind when I say that?
Well, I think so. My experience as a parent and also just like a person alive right now is that things on the national stage in the US are pretty divisive, pretty chaotic, and depending on, which side of the thing you're on, pretty demoralizing. So for kids, especially non-gender conforming kids, it can start to feel kind of hopeless. And so I was saying, wherever you are in your little corner of the world, there's a way to make things better for someone. So you could volunteer at an animal shelter, like right in your town, or a soup kitchen, again, in your town, public library, like basically saying that the things that affect your life the most day to day are what happens like right here at home. And you do have ways to impact that. So that's what put me in mind of the work Samantha Stone is doing. She's just created a brand new community resource center in Woburn. They've not had one before. And she kind of made it out of total thin air. Like there was no budget for it. So she activated the community and created this incredible space.
It's a beautiful space. We had a chance to go down and take a look at it. Hyacinths emerge in Oregon. Friday, a little Rebecca Black for us. Rebecca Black, who taught us just recently that she learned a lot from the LGBTQ community and how they helped her understand who she should be in life, which I found quite an interesting and strange quote from Rebecca Black, but bless her heart. Also, one of the reasons I was a little stumbling into this particular episode is I was last minute, as I often do, testing out some new possible music for the start of the show. So I felt this seemed somber and stately. So
You're muted still. I don't know what you think you're saying right now.
I'm just going to play the goddamn video and get off my own stupid show. So it was a big video, so we have to do this sort of thing. It's broken. What is wrong with you? Oh, where did it go? I had it muted. I had it presented. Hang on. I'm never muting again. I just got to make this sound.
You're new to YouTube.
Just showed up first day. Special thanks to Dan Gorgone for helping us edit this. Samantha Stone, we tracked you down. I know you from Unleash Possible. I know you from Marketing Props events and other marketing experiences. You've gone through a bit of a journey, and it started with not fun things, but now we're surrounded by your new thing. I don't know. Let's start with the new thing first. Where am I sitting? It's very bright.
Yeah. So you're sitting in the new Community Resource Center for the city of Woburn. Orange is our color, and so we went all in with orange. We weren't messing around. This is a project that I'm really passionate about and really proud of. We sat down about a year ago. We had a new mayor in our city, I was fortunate enough that he hired me as one of the first things that he did. And we talked about needs for the community. And for the last year, we've been really talking to hundreds of people who live here and understanding what they need. We've run job fairs, we've done volunteer expos. So really hundreds, thousands of people that we've interacted with. And we knew we needed a place to gather people that was different than City Hall, a place that had different kinds of spaces, different hours, different purposes. And we had no money and no extra people and no extra time. And I worked for a wonderful mayor who said, okay, Samantha, if you think somehow you could make this happen, we'll go for it together.
Great.
Which was fantastic. And through a lot of help and generosity through the property manager who donated this space to us and lots of other people who contributed, all of the things that you see around us, we are here today, and it's really an amazing, exciting space.
So your IT team scrounged up some computers. You've got this space. You've got all this stuff. Who comes in here and what do they do when they're in this space?
Individual residents absolutely come in here. Just yesterday, I was meeting with someone who was recently released from the hospital. Their brother flew in from out of town and was trying to figure out how to make sure they had the ongoing care they needed. And Jay just needed some support to connect to the right resources. It might be somebody who's here who needs help with access to food. Maybe they're having a hard time keeping up with bills and are struggling to pay grocery bills and they need a little help. So we'll connect them to all the right places. It could be someone who's just moved to Woburn and says, I don't know even where do I register to vote? How do I get my kids signed up for school? You know, all the kinds of, silly questions, but important ones that happen when you're new to a city. A lot of this space is about creating comfort and creating spaces that people do. In addition to like an individual resident, we hold lots of workshops. Behind us is our training room. We did a grant writing workshop to help fuel our local nonprofits and service organizations. We have a mental health first aid class that's coming up. We're hosting grief support groups here.
Wow.
So this is the kind of space that is really adaptable. And then the third group that, I talked a little bit about is service organizations or nonprofits who want to work together and collaborate, or even a resident who comes in and says, I have this great new idea. Let's sit down and brainstorm. This space allows us to do lots and lots of things, and we hope people will feel like this is an extension of our service delivery to the city. And we're brand new, so we're going to see. We know that it will evolve. It will do things we never even imagined it would do.
Samantha, I knew you from a whole different world. I knew you from marketing information, ideas, and this is ideas in a different way. You also had a bit of a rough road there for a minute. Do you want to talk about that? Because what I want to know is that's a perfect time to give up. And what happened?
Yeah, thank you. For those who don't know, I had breast cancer. I was diagnosed with that. And while we had generally caught it early, the form of cancer was very fast growing and not responsive to hormones. So I had a pretty aggressive treatments. I went through several months of chemo, including some pretty tough stuff that my hair is just growing back. And I didn't feel good. I then did surgery and radiation, but I am now done with all of those things. I am completely in remission. I'm just now being scanned. And when it was time to go back to work full time, I did a little projects here and there. I said, I don't know that I want to go back and do what I was doing anymore. I was sort of called to do things that felt a little bit more impactful to day-to-day individual people's lives. It's a little bit more local to my community. So all of these things came together and said, this is a time to make a change. Here's the thing about public service that I'm learning, because this is the first time I've worked for a government agency. I don't do it because I have to or anybody told me to do it. I do it because I'm truly grateful, because I literally could not open this space without those people coming. We're holding grief support groups because Tufts is sending at no cost to us a licensed, qualified, experienced grief counselor for many weeks in a row. We are dependent on the generosity of people. And so I think because of that, but I also do it for another somewhat selfish reason, which is I believe that kindness and gratitude and help is contagious. And if I talk about the people who are doing it already, it inspires other people to want to help. And I don't mean big financial donations. I mean the woman who crocheted this blanket that's sitting here behind us, right? I mean the person who dropped off coffee. I mean the woman who sent me these motivational signs that are not yet on the walls, but will be soon, right? I believe all of us can make a difference, but sometimes we forget that a little thing can create a cascading effect. So at least for me, I can't speak for lifelong politicians and other people, but I really feel that it is helpful for us to have that dialogue and be upfront. I'm not magic. I didn't create this space. I talked about why we needed it, and then people joined me. And I'm grateful to the people who joined me.
I beg to differ. I think you are magic, and I think it shows. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. This is such a blessing. I feel really lucky to be here.
She's amazing.
She is wonderful. It was what a great experience. And Samantha has so much energy and has in every other way she's ever been. It's such a fun space. It's what I like. And we didn't go super deep on it, but it's like so reconfigurable. Like that whole back area, you could set it up a bunch of different ways. And she said so far, every time she's done it, something like that's been going on. What's Chloe have to say?
Chloe says that clearly that mayor made a super smart decision. What an inspiration Samantha is. Her warm, sunny personality and passion is super contagious. Yeah, I mean, that was an empty commercial space with nothing in it. And everything you see in there, she was instrumental in procuring, like from other members of the community. It is a resource for the community and an example of the power of community at the same time. So I agree. She's amazing.
Cummings Properties, who provided the space, they went out of their way to do something really nice for Samantha and the group there. And I have some experience with that organization, and they were fine. But, they're like every building property organization, they want to make sure that you didn't put any sizable holes in the wall, that you left took all your stuff when you left. They, very like, just the facts of meat and potatoes. The fact that they helped her, the fact that, she knew what she wanted definitely helped. And just sort of growing this space into something. I told her it looks sort of like the best possible way a library could look. Libraries set up these kinds of community spaces, but this is like the best one I've seen. But also that she could blend it with the training area and the art area and all that. There's so much there. So it's a great example of being able to do a lot with a little from a lot of places.
Joanne says totally magic is Samantha. I agree. Feeling the total benefit of local community. I would volunteer there. I don't even live in Woburn, right? But like if I was closer, I would volunteer there. It's a space you want to be in. She's created a really welcoming space.
And I mean, Samantha pointed out to us that she had so many connections helped. She was really active in the city, local government and all that. And I feel like at this particular time in the United States, it's a really good time to get a little closer to your local community if they are of the same mindset that you are. If you're in an area where you are supported, then it's a great time to continue to throw some help in the direction of other people, because there's just all kinds of things coming from different ways. But more important than like, it's a good thing for you to do, there's a reason why people sort of feel lost when there's kind of a global stage kind of thing going on. And watching something like this reminds us that we can do local things that will impact local people. She was saying somebody came in, just got out of the hospital, blah, blah, blah. She just helped them navigate forms. A whole bunch of what Samantha does there in such a beautiful space where you can get some coffee and listen to music is kind of really unsexy stuff, but it's the kind of stuff that other people really can't take time with. So I'm just curious, what does that make you think in moments like that?
Couple things. For one, I'm a lawyer and I've done a lot of like pretty not sexy stuff that is still necessary. And the human touch has a value you can't quantify. So like I used to close real estate transactions early in my career, which is not like, it's not super fun. But I helped an elderly woman sell her home and she was really nervous about the whole thing. And I think it was in the end, really helpful to her just to have me there, sort of chatting her through it. And so Samantha had said something similar, that people will come in. The point isn't the forms and where they are, although that's important. The point is having someone there to help support you, listen to your story, kind of validate your experience, and just support you, like show compassion and help you fill them out. Sure, they could like throw up an FAQ page and be done with it, that's going to help some small percentage of people, but people need more than just the form itself. They need more than just the answer. Sometimes they need to feel like they belong, which is something you've made a whole lifetime out of, like making other people help feel like they belong.
It's a lifetime experience. I don't know how to tell my dad. It's probably just him that's muted who can't hear us. But I don't know. Maybe in the comment section, you can let me know that you can hear us. Otherwise, Kerry and I are just talking to each other, which we can do that already. The thing about me and community is that I just always feel like I've been in these scenarios where people can feel excluded really easily. And I've been the person who's felt excluded. I'm a pretty shy person, which no one ever believes me. But I've been in those scenarios. You know, you go to some conference or something and all the cool kids are with the cool kids and all that. And so when it was finally my turn to be a person on stage and be that person that everyone was like waiting to see after some event, I did everything I could to make that circle expand. I did everything I could to kind of glue everyone else together, because I just figured there's so many more ways to get that done. And wow, like father, like son, we're just muting everything today. I've always tried to keep the circle expanding. The other reason, though, too, is that you get so much more with this. You know, you get the more you can extend the people around you, the more you can get sort of their community involvement in something, you get cooler things. Dan does really cool video editing because Dan is 1,500 times faster than Kerry. We would have one segment every couple of weeks. If, you know, Kerry was said, you know, sit down and edit that, it would never happen. We got to have delicious maple sugar because Leslie's in our community and it is syrup making time right now. So, you know, there's lots of ways community can be expressed. And that's my little drummer boy thing I say all the time. You don't have to be the most amazing anything. You don't have to have gold, frankincense, or myrrh. You just have to have something that you could bring to the picnic. And I don't know, I think that encourages me the most, because it just means that we can bring the thing we know how to or want to do for other people. And like you said, even if it's just filling out a form. Does that, what do you think when you think of the stuff you could bring to bear to help out somebody in a community setting?
I think I want to go to Leslie's Sugar Shack. She's making maple syrup and do a segment about that. So one of my favorite quotes is Edith Wharton, and it's I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, but it's like there's two ways to be a light: be the candle or be the mirror that reflects it. So I've spent a lot of my life being the mirror that reflects it. I interview smart people and share the knowledge with others. I make segments now and take you places you haven't been. My Instagram was mostly photos of places that maybe you haven't been, like little bits and corners I thought you might find interesting. So to me, this is just an extension of that. It's like being the light by holding up a mirror to what other people in the community are doing. So spread a little bit of hope to my kids and other people too, to say there are people doing good things. There are people helping others and making an effort every day to make their small part of the world just a little bit better. And we can all do that.
Oh, Leslie just gave us the invite, so we're ready to go. You know, when you were talking, you made me think of Fred Rogers, the Fred Rogers, Mr. Dr. Father, Reverend Rogers. His quote about look for the helpers in any kind of a time of problem. Look for the helpers; you'll always find somebody helping, and that really, you know, connects with me. I saw a quote today, just apropos of nothing, except this guy had this picture of flowers, and he said, "We are all Sisyphus, but nature is a pretty boulder." And I thought, you know, just that quote changed a little bit of my mood this morning. So sometimes the help is just to come up with something different to look at besides the news. Sometimes the help is just making some sense of difference in any way. On LinkedIn, as you know, I've been posting up a fistful of my photos every single day. If I go out on a photo walk, I just put up a couple photos. I get so many comments from people saying, out of the whole rest of everything scrolling by on LinkedIn, when I see yours come up, I go, and then they take a moment and enjoy. That I couldn't be any more minimally involved in sort of a community sort of setting. And yet people get this feeling like, oh, I feel a thing now. So I think there's lots of ways that you could throw in and participate.
So we're talking about local community now and all the opportunities there. I'm actually looking into volunteer opportunities at a local library. It's not like that's not going to be sexy work. That'll be like taking books off the shelf and dusting the shelf and putting the books back on, or like cleaning children's toys, or all kinds of things. They do have special programs for teenagers that want to volunteer, so they can help with like teen activity groups and stuff like that if they want to, and they don't have to just dust shelves. All of which to say there's always something you can do. I also, this is not like, in opposition to helping locally, but I also volunteer with Engine Inc., which is a nonprofit that pairs English speakers with folks in Ukraine that want to learn how to speak better business English. It's also a cultural exchange program. So you learn something about Ukrainian culture. I have been doing it for, I don't know, maybe 2-3 years, something like that. And it's an amazing experience. It's just 1 hour a week online. I do it through Zoom. I have 2 30-minute meetings because my student likes to stay kind of in practice. And it has been a little quiet recently because I had no voice. So she and I were like, she'd send me stuff that she needed help polishing in written English, and I would help her out. But we haven't been able to talk for a while. So it's another thing I've just recently been able to take up again. Anyway, there's ways to give back. If you are like housebound or you just find you can't volunteer in person, there are ways to help if that's something that you think would benefit you. It helps me to have something. I don't like to just doom scroll.
I'm with you there. Joanne says that their community, they also contribute to a big garden that fosters monarch butterflies. So before they go on their big migration. So all kinds of little things going on everywhere. And that sort of awe is so impactful. So sounds like a magical place, says Chloe, and I second the motion. Engine. One of the things I was thinking is that maybe you could explain to them that they missed an E, but it's probably some other language translation of the word engine. But
it's pronounced engine. I don't think it means, I don't know. Maybe it does. It's me.
I don't speak Ukrainian, so I can't speak to that. So who knows? But it's I've listened in a couple times on your conversations with the student, and what I like is that it's English language training, but it also just spans life. Like you're learning a lot. And again, this is a person in the Ukraine, so their life is a little challenging right now. You've had some interesting storylines along that way.
It very much depends on the type of student you have. So there are like structured lessons that you can use if you want to, that cover things like travel logistics, or when you first meet someone. But her English, while she tends to act as though it's not that good, it's getting better all the time. And we've been able to get into some more sort of sophisticated subjects and words that are less common to use, but which have their uses. Like she's got a dog, so veterinary terms, for example, like we've talked about that. In her situation right now, where there's an actual war on, and she's going between Kyiv and her parents' house in the country, we've had occasion to talk about a lot of things, aspects of Ukrainian culture, some of which have been like actively sort of put down by Russian invaders, the things that they're trying to eliminate, and the ways they're trying to reclaim them. And it's a lot. It's pretty heavy stuff at the moment, but it also gives me hope. I think it gives her hope to talk about what she's doing for work. She still works, to talk about her dog, Bruno. She actually brought to my attention a whole YouTube feed of this dog. It's like a national heroes dog who's the face of a movement. Folks go into places that have been abandoned. I mean, you don't have a choice. It's not like you want to abandon your home, but they had to leave home quickly, didn't find their pets before they left, and they'll rescue these pets. In some cases, if they can't get into a house or something, they'll like feed the pet through a tube in the door. But it's amazing. So again, helping where you are, finding a way to make a difference in your local community. It's just her local community is in Ukraine and mine is here. But I think we learn a lot from each other.
I was under the impression we don't talk about Bruno, but evidently I got that one wrong. Okay, so we're going to wrap up the show and get on out of here. But what a fun time. It was good to talk about community. It's good to think about, some of the ways that we can make it advantageous. What do you think? We want to do the, I think this Loco song might be our song.